My name is Michal Jenicek, and I will have a light talk about the realm. Maybe for the beginning, I would like to ask you if you ever heard about realm. Hands up, please. Cool. And second question is, if you ever used realm, who from the audience? Yes. Cool. The thing is that this talk is rather for those who are considering to use some other database than the SQLite for structured data and don't know. And I would like to share some ideas with you because I tried to find some persistence and I found realm. And I will, in next slides, I will say you why I chose realm and what was the pain, and that's it. Yes, sorry, that's the slide behind. So if you want to persist data, you have few possibilities how to do it, and if you want to persist the model, that's structured data, and you have few possibilities like network connections and local database. But what about if you want to persist it offline? So yeah, that's the local database, nothing more. And usually we use file-based SQLite engine and some object relation mapping on top. I have few examples here. It's what you usually use, and that's a lot of other options how to use object-related mapping framework. But there is another one. There is a realm. Realm is also a database based on file, but somehow in the engine is designed for mobile. I don't know what's the secret. Why is this database better? But I expect it's designed for mobile like operations under the hood. So I decided to explore more about realm, if it is possible to use it, and I can compare it with dbflow because that's object relation mapping framework I know already. So I will reference it in next slides. So realm or dbflow, yeah. So I try to think about it. Performance. Is it about performance? Oh, it's not my case. From my point of view, there is nothing bad about performance for dbflow or for realm. It's a bunch of benchmarks you can find, but it depends how the benchmark is written. If you use, for example, realm in like open connection, or if you copy data from the realm, so that's not my case. That was not decision like performance, not the one. For me, it's important simplicity. Keep the implementation simple. Like just if you use Java, just implement your Java code and somehow call the framework for persistence. Just work with your model and persist it. That's it. No other stuff around. Also, realm is easy to integrate. It has a few here mentioned libraries, and that's enough for me. It's not necessary to support more because I'm happy with that. And the third things is built-in features, and I will mention some of them. And it can be also the reason why would you try the realm. I will have some code examples here later, next slides, and everything is based on this sample application. I will also share this this code or code for this sample application with you at the end, and I will send you slides if they will be accessible. And now imagine that there is two classes, class A and class B. Every class has some teacher, and the teacher can teach more classes. And there is a bunch of students. The students can be in one class. It's something, it's some model I use to demonstrate working with dbflow or working with Realm, and the difference I see and the difference I can share with you. Yes. So let's start with the dbflow implementation. Don't bother with the bunch of code. I will point you some lines. Just focus this one. It's like if you have dbflow implementation, that's entity, that's a school class, and that's a teacher. And every time you have to define and like think about tables. That's a relation. So you have to write table. You have to write some relation. If it's many to many, one to many, or so, that's quite tiring. But go ahead. There is another thing I don't like to operate with these generated intermediate classes. It's like, yeah, if you like to use SQL, okay, it's definitely okay to think about all this and to have this control. But if you would like to just write your model and then somehow save it, you can use differently. So there is another thing that's entity in Realm. There is no more table, there is no more relations, just use your model. In your model, there is some list of objects and there are some other objects. Just think objectly, like in object-oriented programming, and don't bother with some relations and intermediate tables and so on. And the way I use Realm is like to have whole model, and I have to persist this model. I don't want to think about like if it is persisted completely or what to persist and how are the relations. So there is a bunch of code. Don't be stressed. Like just the main thing is copy to Realm or update, and I just pass this persistence model. That's a way how I am using this one, and that's all. The other thing is like just some code you don't need. There is another thing like querying with Realm. It's like similar like dbflow, so nothing interesting here, but there is one point you can get the result. Like if you query Realm, now you have in this space you have open Realm, and you can then copy this Realm outside, so you can close it. That's two way how to work with Realm. It's my way of doing things is work with closing Realm. So you can have Realm open like during your activity and close it when activity finished, or you can just touch the Realm database, fetch some data and close it, and like just update your model. That's two ways. Way without this is like faster, and way with this is like safer for me. From my point of view, it's everything is from my point of view. More code, it's like async code, how to do it, how to load data, but no, that's not, it's also already copy from Realm, that's async result, and it's not important to discuss this. Some simple queries I use because yeah, the first code is how easy it is to try to find unique field in your database. It's the student with some unique field already in your database or not. And the second is like, because the Realm has probably still not support for like unique keys, like he's not generating auto increment keys for you, so you can do it this way. It's up to you. It's not so bad. I had a question on the last talk, so I prepared this screen, and it's the way when you have some prepared database. So it's easy to prepare a Realm file because Realm database is file, and you can just place it in the assets or in the raw dictionary, and then if you will use assets, so you can just call asset file and where is the Realm, and when it is when the hardware or when the application has no database, it's initialized from this one, and then after that it's used your activated Realm. So it is possible in the same way, maybe the simple way than in the SQLite. How to handle data, like if you want to develop some application and you want to look for the data you have stored in an application, you can just grab your file from a phone and view it in some Realm viewer, but it's not comfortable for me, like always copy the file. So there is another way, that's plugin for Steto. Steto is from Facebook. And you can just inspect your device using Chrome. And you can inspect it the same way, like dbflow is possible. Yeah, so that's integration I like. Other thing I would just mention, because I didn't use it, someone in audience have been using, so they can share their experience with us after this talk, and it's about built-in security. SQLite has SQLite Cipher library, and of course dbflow has support for this library, but I think this is a pretty nice way how to do it, because you just change a bit your configuration, and then you work with the data the same way, like without the security. So it's cool. This is the feature. This is another feature to why I use the Realm. New thing about Realm is autosync. It's something like Firebase has a long time. I didn't use it already, but I paste some few lines, and these lines are enough to have all your model synced. So the Realm provides some server, some solution. I will not talk about it, but I will talk about it that you can easily, like if you have prepared this server or this other site, you can easily enable this sync, and you can work with Realm data, and it will sync for you automatically. And it's another good feature if you want to share data among more devices, for example, they can sync. And now I will share with you some pains of the realm I found. That's limited support for data types and missing support for inheritance. These types are the only the realm supports. Not so many. And there is some some workaround. In case you don't find your type here, you can somehow serialize it. And in the edge case, you can misuse parcelable. But parcelable is not, it's not good to use parcelable for serialization to persist data because of some caveats. So how you can solve, for example, enum? It's missing. Enum is not supported like a type. So for first solution is like you can use string representation to enum if you really need enum, and if you want to have some static or more complex definition or some static methods to this connected, you can save as a string, and you can say just string to realm and then deserialize. And another thing is like string def or int def. That's less memory consumption solution for Android, and it also works. So it's up to you. You have still choice, but here, if you use this solution, you have to be careful. If you refactor your application and you have already stored some data from the previous version, you have to write migration, and you have to migrate because the serialization will not work on new versions. Now, in Realm, you cannot store plain lists. Just focus on this. If you see it, there is a Realm list, and Realm list there's some wrapper around the list, and you have to save this Realm list. But Realm lists can contain just object extended from Realm object. So you have to create some wrappers like this one, and that's the overkill. But if you have not so many types, you have to store in lists. It's not such a pain as it could be. This is also a solution with some JSON provider I had to use for retrofit integration. This is simple. Another example, the same, but with long, is the same. Bunch of code, don't worry. Just want to say something. That's Realm has no support for inheritance, and at the beginning, I just designed my model, and I designed some inheritance abstraction. And then I found that there's the problem, that it's not possible to save it. And I had already this architecture done. I found that it's some issue on Realm. It's open over the year, and no one solved this. No one have been solving yet. But I really trust they will solve it. But what about workaround? So, for example, you have some abstract method, abstract model, abstract class, and you want to save to Realm some descendants. So it's not easy way how to do it. So you can do it with just create some persistable object, and you just copy the items. The reason why you copy it is that you don't want to change your model because it's great. It's not the reason to change your model because of persistence, but you can have this like copying only on like the persistence layer. It's temporary solution, and you have to be careful with some items, like for example location is not able to save in the Realm, and the only way you can save it is like serialize it, but location is just parcelable. So if you if you consider to save it for a short time, it's not a problem. But if you expect the persistence should be for longer time, more versions, or so on, it can change, and it can't be deserialized. So be careful with mentioned parcelable solution to serialize objects. They are not supported by Realm. Oh, sorry. This is the same picture, but better for your eyes. I just said it recently, so next time. I have some note about concurrency. That's the last note I have, and I have to say it. You have to be careful, or you have to design your application this way, that open realm, realm objects, queries, and results, you don't share these between the threads. You will find it that it throws exception. It's not possible. But what you can do between the threads, you can, for example, create two realms. They are based on the same file, and they can access this file concurrently, and it's not problem. But you have to have two different realms. Just create one realm with configuration for UI thread and one realm for configuration for backend thread, if you need it. I didn't need it because I use MVVM, and I just use realm to synchronize data model with persistence, and I have bind this model via binding to the view. So I don't use realm on my view side, but realm offers this functionality, and you can use, for example, a recycler on top like open realm object. It's possible. It's about design, how you design the application. And the last thing about processes. Processes can't share one realm file, but I think there is so few cases when you find this problem. So I didn't find when it could be arised. So multiprocessor support is promised. It's coming soon. Never knows when it will be. Maybe the message for you from this talk, if you answer yes for both questions, I would recommend you use Realm. I think it's not problem to simplify the persistence, and if you are not scared about the things like wrappers and workarounds I mentioned, like just try it because it's simple. It's really simple. The part of the Realm I talked about was Realm database. There is another big thing, Realm mobile platform. It's still in beta, but it's about syncing data remotely and share this data to other devices. So you cannot add to your application, for example, Firebase if you have Realm, because you can use the Realm seamlessly. Realm has really good documentation, so it's really good to start. It's quite easily to start, and it's really fast to move. And I can share with you some sample application. I called it DB Showcase, and it's like simple implementation of local databases. For the first time, I started with Realm. There is some code for dbflow. I will connect this code in the recent time, and I will continue with some other local persistence solutions. So you can then compare, like on the one model, how it is connected, how I connect Realm, how I connect dbflow, how I connect the other persistence on one model, and how I worked with them in way of one design. So thank you, and maybe short questions from the audience now, and some other questions after all talks. So short question, please. Okay, so let's find me after the talk. You mean what? Yeah, if Realm is open source, but you mean the engine? If the engine is open source, if you can see how they work with files? No. Realm is startup from Silicon Valley, and they have closed source engine. So I don't know how they doing this shit. No. Yeah. Which part is paid? I think paid part is when you use the sync solution. Just a moment. Come on. Yes. I think when you will use this solution and you will want some support, like you will want their savers, you can like provide this solution on your servers, and then it's not paid. But you can say, I would like to use your servers, and then it's paid, this one. This is not paid. So local database is not paid. I think the sync, remote sync is, they started with some way how to earn money. Yeah, it's a startup in a progressive way. Any other question? Okay. What do you mean the way with normal program and this is I developed it this way, the Peter says, but it's based on different library. The second one, Jakub Kinst. I used this one for implementation of my application. But Peter said nothing about persistence, and this was all about persistence, about how I persist the data, because you cannot persist the data. That's not necessary to persist data, but sometimes you have to, and that's the way how to like connect persistence to your application, and don't worry about too much thinking about relations and tables and whatever. Like just save your model. That's it. Okay. Thank you for listening, and be happy for next talk.